Hello everyone, welcome to Out of Spec Reviews. I'm Ryan. Today we have the Chevrolet Blazer EV, and we're taking it on our 70 mile per hour range test. So let me tell you just a little bit about this Chevy Blazer and a little bit about our test. This is the Chevy Blazer EV, and specifically the 2024 LT model. And just a little bit about this is actually about a $47,000 starting price, but with all the options and packages we have on this, the sticker's around $56,000. So a bit pricey, but it's what we've got here today. It's about a mid-size SUV size, and it has an 85 kilowatt hour battery. It claims fast charging of up to 150 kilowatts, and its range is 283 miles on the EPA cycle. Like I mentioned, it's the all-wheel drive version, so that will, of course, reduce range slightly. However, 283 should be a decently solid range and achievable with an 85 kilowatt hour battery. This is running on GM's Ultium platform, which is their platform for all of their electric vehicles. It's a pretty interesting strategy, and what they've done is basically create a single battery module, and then they can stack and add all these modules together in any configuration they want to get the exact sizes that they need. And this allows them to have batteries from 85 kilowatt hours here all the way up to the Hummer EV, which is 240 kilowatt hours. So it gives them a lot of flexibility, and it's a pretty interesting strategy. And another thing that happens with this is how this just sets up is because there's so few modules in this smallest pack, it means that voltage is quite low on this car. This is one of the lowest voltage vehicles on sale today. Now, this doesn't have a ton of meaning for a lot of people. However, it will have a slight effect in that, generally speaking, charging speeds will be a little bit lower. And that's because voltage and charging power are directly related. But that's not too important, and again, it should hit to 150 kilowatt charging speeds, which is not crazy fast, and we'll see in another video with our charging analysis that this is not the greatest charging vehicle in the world. However, it's definitely a step forward from the Bolt, which is GM's previous attempts at EV and EV charging. A couple more details. Here we have the 21-inch wheels. They're riding on the Bridgestone Avenza Enlighten tires. Haven't heard of those ones before, but we also have, if you look up here, right about there, that's the Super Cruise camera, and we have that package option. It's a little bit pricey, but when that system's working, it is very, very good. So happy to have it for this range test. Now let me tell you a little bit about that 70 mile per hour range test. The first thing that we always do is make sure the tires are set to the factory recommended pressures, and I did that this morning while they were cold. The next thing we do is we drive over here to Wellington, Colorado, and we plug into these DC fast chargers. As you can see, we're already charging up. It doesn't have the fastest charging in the world, especially once you get to the top of the pack, but that's okay. And what we're going to do here is just charge up to 100%. This will make sure that the battery is nice and warm, and we'll have a full battery for our range test. Once we're at 100% state of charge, I'm going to go ahead, unplug, make sure our climate's at on our most eco-friendly setting between 68 and 72 degrees on auto. Also going to put the vehicle in the most efficient drive settings as possible, and just head onto the highway, which is right here. I'm going to do a nice, gentle acceleration, and that's in order to minimize any sorts of losses. I'm going to accelerate up to 70 miles an hour. It will be actually 71 miles per hour indicated because that is 70 miles per hour on the GPS. And I'll hit the cruise control, Super Cruise, and we'll just start driving. I'll give you updates throughout the drive on how far we're going, efficiency, what it's like to be in, and all the features. And once I've used about half of the battery, I'm going to go ahead and turn back around. Quick note, the route that I'll be taking is the same that we always do, which is I-25 north through Colorado, up into Wyoming, and then we take I-80 east into Nebraska. And then, like I said, once we've used about half the battery, I'll head on back to this same location, heading to this charger. I will not put this in as a destination, this charger, to make sure that the vehicle does not precondition itself. We don't want it to use any extra energy trying to precondition the battery. We want to see how far this car can go at 70 miles an hour in the best case scenario. So I'll drive on back here and we'll do this as a out and back loop style test. And this does a couple things. Of course, it makes sure that all elevation gain and loss is canceled out. So whatever we're starting at, we're of course ending at. So no net elevation, and it helps cancel out any wind. Any headwind one direction would be a tailwind the other direction. So once we're back here, I'm going to basically be looping back and forth on the highway, trying to maintain 70 miles an hour. Once I get to a very low state of charge, I'm going to head off of the highway and go onto the frontage road, which is right next to the highway. And that will be just a much safer place to finish up this test. And for the end of the test, we're gonna just be keeping up with that 70 miles an hour. We're gonna see how long we can maintain 70 miles an hour. And once the vehicle can no longer maintain 70, that will be our result. That's how far we've gone on our 70 mile per hour range test. However, our full test is not quite complete then, because we want to know what happens next. So I'll just keep on driving. I'll see how far we can go. I'll see what happens when the battery is at the very bottom, how it behaves, what happens. So you'll be able to see exactly what happens, and hopefully you aren't in this situation, but if you are, you would be prepared and know what to expect. So with that, we can just sit tight, wait for this to finish charging up, and then get going. And there we go, charging complete. And we can go ahead, unplug. I've already got the car running, so Climate was pulling from the charger. And I'll get on the highway shortly. Okay, as you can see in the bottom left, it indicated 283 miles, and then bottom middle, 100% state of charge. I'm gonna show drive modes is in normal. We've got our climate control in auto, and actually I'll show you. I have the rear climate off. And finally, let's go to vehicle status. Give it a moment. Trip. And reset trip 1. Cool. Good to go. Now let's get onto the highway. And now I'm doing a nice gentle acceleration on this on-ramp up to 70 miles an hour. Squeeze in right behind this guy, big old truck. And get up to 71. Like I mentioned, 71 is the indicated, oh, there we go, 71. Is the indicated speed for 70 miles an hour GPS. Sorry about that. Super Cruise was not very happy for a moment, but we're all set. All right, cool. We can settle in and just see how this drive will go. It's a weird looking dog. Just a quick note on the temperature. Looks like it's 48 right now. So a little chilly, but not too bad. And of course, blue skies. Super Cruise disengaged right there, but I guess that kind of makes sense considering we're on a ramp that recently had construction and it was recently repaved, which is really nice. But yeah, nice gentle accelerations. I'll go on to the other side of this person. Just a very slight breeze here, so a little chilly, 54 degrees actually, sorry, and you know, not perfect conditions. It'd be nicer if it were warmer. However, still pretty solid, minimal wind, and blue skies. So at least I get to enjoy it that much. We're currently just about 40 miles in. We're doing 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour. Ignore the current trip to the right. That is It started when I was in the car charging, so it has a little bit of different efficiency and time and all that stuff. So trip one is the one that we're looking at. I've crossed over 75% state of charge and I've gone 71 miles. So not quite on track for 300, but just under. And I think that makes sense considering EPA range is 283 miles. So looks like it's adding up. Our efficiency is at 3 miles per kilowatt hour. And again, temperature 55 degrees, minimal wind, good conditions for this range test. Just passed over 100 miles right there. And yeah, we're at 66% state of charge. So right around where we should be if we were to expect 300 miles of range. So we're going to get close to our EPA rated range, potentially even exceed it, which would be great. I'd be really happy to see that. It's a little bit of a mixed bag with GM's Ultium platform vehicles. Sometimes they outperform their EPA rated range. Sometimes it doesn't quite reach it. However, more recently, from what we've seen, they're getting pretty close to what they're claiming. So that's a good job by them. Well, we're heading towards Potter, Nebraska, and we were at 63% state of charge, and it's saying we should get back, just went up to 11, said 10 earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and turn around here at this exit, and if I make it back with extra juice, that'll be totally fine, and we can just take another lap on I-25. So really no problem whatsoever. And yeah, of course, when I come off of the cruise control, I'll do a nice gentle deceleration. I'll use regenerative brakes to put as much energy back into the battery as I possibly can. And then, of course, turn around and do a nice gentle acceleration back up to 70 miles an hour. And again, that's minimizing any sorts of losses, maximizing our total possible range. And look at that, Cheyenne, 79 miles. Neat. Nice gentle acceleration up to 71. And there's 71. Go. Cruise control super cruise is activated. Excellent. Buckled in and ready for this return trip back. I just crossed over 50% state of charge at 136 miles. So on track to do just about 270 miles total, if that's a linear curve, discharge curve, which is pretty close to the EPA rated range of 283. We'll have to see how this all ends up. Of course, this is an out and back style test, so we have all the wind and elevation to cancel out, but projecting 10% state of charge on arrival. And the plan will be to just do some loops near Wellington. Leaving Nebraska, now entering Wyoming. We're 153 miles in, 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour, 43% state of charge. So it does not look like we'd be able to make it quite to 300, but that's okay. That's not what the EPA is, and wasn't really ever expecting to reach quite to 300. At 25% state of charge, we've gone 191 miles. So a pretty solid result, and it's looking like we should have 9 to 10% when we get back, meaning we'll do a little bit of looping back and forth, but nothing too crazy. I wanted to take a moment to talk about Super Cruise, this green bar right here. I'm going to move it so the camera can actually see me and it will stay engaged. This is a really impressive system. It has a massive, flaw in that it only works on pre-mapped highways. There are a lot of highways and B roads big roads that are not quite highways that are mapped. However, there are a ton of roads, and all the city streets are not mapped, and there is no regular lane centering. So you either have super cruise or just dumb, or I guess not dumb cruise control, but a radar controlled cruise control, so you don't hit someone behind you. It'd be really nice if it had not pre-mapped lane centering. So not quite super cruise, you still have to have hands on, but it would lane center for you. But I wanted to talk about super cruise. When it is working, it is genuinely incredible. I think this is the best driver assistance system that I've used. It is extremely natural, completely hands-free, and one of the things that I've really noticed is, like I said, it feels so natural and kind of weird, but human. A lot of the inputs, the way it reacts, the way it responds to trucks nearby, exits, all this kind of stuff is really, really normal. It feels like a human's driving. Going around bends, it doesn't do any jerky motions. It's not taking like a weird point in the curve. It's just very smooth, very regular, and very comfortable. I've been really impressed by how easy this has been. I've just been sitting here, barely have had to touch the wheel once. I mean, there have been a few times, and it's just been really, really minor. And to be able to go 200 miles, barely touching the steering wheel, having very few interruptions, and no instances where like there's a phantom braking, a weird jolt, anything that would make me uncomfortable, nervous, or not feel like I know what the car's going to do. That's never happened, not once. I always feel like I know what's going to happen, and a few instances it has kicked off, but it does give me red lights over here and warnings in the dash, tells me that it's going to be not turning off, as well as vibrations in the seat. So it's very clear when it's going to be turning off. Overall, an incredible system. I'm really impressed. I hope that Chevrolet can create a system with regular basic lane keeping to add to this, because that would, to me, be the best lane driver assistance suite in any manufacturer, period. I'm coming up to Owl Canyon, which is where I'm going to do my turnaround here, and that's because I don't want to wait at the light over by Wellington. This is usually where we go ahead and do our turnarounds, so this is a great spot for us, and we can just get off the highway and hop right back on. And as we always do, using regenerative brakes to slow down, get as much energy back into the pack, and when we turn back around and accelerate, of course, it's going to be a nice gentle acceleration up to 71 indicated miles an hour, which is 70 GPS. And this is, again, all of this maximizing our possible range. With 30 miles of range, I got a notification that says charge vehicle soon. So yeah, that's a reasonable alert. Here's our exit. Kicking it off of cruise control, regen, and then of course a gentle acceleration on the way back. It's looking like we should hit at least 250 miles. So happy to see that, but I don't know if we'll make it to the EPA rated range. I just received a message that popped up briefly. It said reduced acceleration, drive with care, which makes sense at 7% state of charge. If you look down here, you got the turtle and the red battery. Charge vehicle now, Super Cruise unavailable. My estimated miles remaining went to just low in red. Let's see if I've got dumb cruise control. Nope, no cruise control at all. So I'll be doing this with my foot. So, all right. Interesting. Okay, I am maintaining speed with my foot. It's driving with my hands. What is this, 2007? No, I'm kidding. This is totally fine, and I think it's a reasonable thing at 5% state of charge to require the driver to take over. It makes us make sure the driver knows that it's low state of charge. I think it's okay. Might want it to be a little bit lower in the pack, but this is acceptable. And what I'm going to do now is exit Owl Canyon and take frontage roads and see how far we can go at 70 miles an hour. We're getting pretty close to where we're not going to be able to maintain 70 miles an hour, so I don't want to stay on the highway for that. Frontage road time. Oh wow, that is, the pedal is, I'm like at half throttle and it's barely accelerating, but nice gentle acceleration. We'll get up to 71. Oh, that's flooring it actually. Still accelerating, but I'm pegged on the floor. Can I get to 70? It'd be nice. I feel like I'm in a golf cart having my foot pegged to the floor this long. Come on, one more. Come on. Yeah, 271, or sorry, 71 miles an hour, 248 miles. Okay, I'm still keeping it pegged because I don't think I'll be able to maintain this. Once I hit 69, there's just some undulations in the road. If I hit 69, that's where I'm gonna call it. And it's not looking good. I don't know if I'm gonna make it to 250. There's a little bit of an incline. Oh, and that's it, 248 miles. And that's all we can do. That's our result for our 70 mile per hour range test. Now let's see what happens as this battery really runs out. I'm at 3% state of charge, still pegged to the floor. And just slowly decelerating. All right, I turned around, I'm flooring it. Ooh, I felt a little bit of clunking there from the battery, I think. So definitely getting close to the bottom. If we look behind us, not sure if you can see, but there's a Lucid Air. That's our rescue. So no worries now. And we're not actually that far from the charger. We're 9 miles away. We'll see how far we can make it. Still going 50. Still pulling 10 kilowatts. 9, 8, 6. Somewhere in that ballpark. Foot's still pegged to the floor. Foot's starting to get a little tired. But we'll see. This has been actually a lot longer and further than I thought it would go. I just hit 0% state of charge, and it's still pulling 5 kilowatts, but we are decelerating. It's been speed limited to 40 miles an hour, and now drivetrain power loss, pull over safely. So I think this is it. I will see if there's a good spot, and out of energy, charge vehicle now. Thank you, I will. And there we go, that's that, 260 miles. Yeah, quite a bit after we ran out of energy technically, so let's go ahead and get plugged in with this Lucid right behind us.
Sharing.
Cool. We're sharing.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we'll go sit in the Blazer so we don't get murdered in this car.
Sounds like a plan. And there it goes. I'll just take a quick look. Yep, doing the full 9 kilowatts that we would expect. We just had a little bit of a weird situation. I've had this before with Chevrolet vehicles where when you're charging it up from dead, when you unplug, it'll just completely die. So we decided to go up to 3%, be nice and safe, and then we'd go ahead and just go over to the charger, which is just right over there. Not far at all, but Unfortunately, right when I unplugged, it looked fine. Everything was normal. It said look for missing key since I was out of the car. Stepped in, put it into drive, and everything went black. So yeah, a bit of a strange situation. So we're gonna charge up a little bit more and then hopefully that'll be enough. I ended up making it. It took quite a long time though, unfortunately. We have this issue and we see it consistently with GM vehicles where if you run them completely dead, they do not want to turn back on. In our case, we had to charge it back up all the way to 7% state of charge before it would actually turn back on. Basically, what was happening was we would have the car charging and it would show that it was charging and say 2%, 4 or 5 miles or whatever it was. And the moment you touched the brake, the entire UI would go black. Everything would shut down and everything would restart. So it would just keep doing that regardless of what was happening, and it wouldn't actually start until we reached 7% state of charge. And again, that's something that we see with all these GM vehicles, so something to keep in mind with those. And now let's talk about this result. 248 miles. Honestly, it's kind of unimpressive. Yes, I do want to note that this is the least efficient Blazer and the shortest range Blazer that you could possibly buy. Between the 21-inch wheels and the all-wheel drive, this is going to have the least efficiency and the least amount of range. There is the Blazer RS model, the performance one, which might be a little bit less efficient. However, it has a much bigger battery, so it will have more range. So this is the lowest it will be, and also 248 miles is kind of disappointing. I think that number is especially disappointing when you start to consider the price, and it's in the $50,000 price bracket. And 248 miles is an exact tie with a 2023 Volkswagen ID4 all-wheel drive Pro S. It's near as makes no difference to several other EVs, including the Kia EV6 all-wheel drive, the 2024 Nissan Ariya. It's slightly better than the Genesis GV60 or Bolt EV. The efficiency was only 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour. This is really poor. Yes, this is the least efficient Blazer you can get, aside from the RS model, of course. And it was a little bit cold out, but this is still a really poor result. This is comparable to a Lexus RZ450e or Volvo XC40 Recharge. It's actually worse than some performance crossovers like the EV6 GT and the Polestar 2 Performance. Honestly, it's really unimpressive considering the Blazer is neither a performance vehicle nor particularly luxurious. It just has poor efficiency. Well, that's all I have for you today, and I'm really hoping to hear what you guys have to say about this and whether you guys think this is worth the rather steep price tag, in my opinion. Looking forward to seeing you all in the next one.